Okay, welcome aboard. The purpose of this training is to get you to this point. My Goldilocks again is a 4.7. There's a psychological barrier once a company hits 4.7. It is that much better than a 4.5 or 4.6. Once you continue to climb up beyond 4.7, the benefit actually is smaller and smaller. 4.7, 4.8, that's my Goldilocks on 100 plus reviews. Once we get you to that point, and that's the purpose of this training, is so you can learn how to do that. You can then start looking to divert your traffic. You're already going to increase your ranking organically based upon the number of reviews and the high rating, but you can increase your ranking even more by diverting a little bit of that good review traffic to some more relevant sites, far more relevant than the ones you've been relying on. And I know some of you maybe haven't been doing that, but you're still suffering some lackluster scores, particularly in review count on Google. This is going to teach you how to turn the garden hose on, and we can start getting a good flow going there. So keeping in mind that people's first exposure to your business is likely to be on Google. And if you're not sporting a decent rating, like, well, let me get myself out of the way here for a second. Like these two guys here, it may be their only exposure to a potential customer because they're not likely to look any further at somebody only at 3.6 versus and somebody with no reviews whatsoever. Off this list, this is probably the only guy that they're going to even think about taking a look at. Average star rating is very important to customers, as is total number of reviews. The frequency of the review is important, as is the age. So most consumers like to see recent reviews. Average ratings across multiple sites is important, but that only comes into play if they research further beyond Google. They're going to do a specific Google search, in this case for Scapes Incorporated. And then negative reviews. Most consumers are going to go right to the negative reviews when they start researching a company to see how you respond. And I'll be talking about that a little bit more, but essentially how you respond can actually help you land that customer. So a negative review can be good for you and not bad for you. So, and the overall sentiment of the reviews. So consumer behavior is important, as long as we're not talking about the cult members on Yelp. They're a totally different bunch, and I'll get to that in a second. But most people, most consumers search for businesses online. This number's probably higher than that. 91% read online reviews about local businesses, both positive and negative. They don't read all of them, so collecting thousands of reviews on a website they're never going to look at is doing you no good. And besides, a lot of those on CarWise, they're not even writing anything. They're just ticking the 5-star boxes and hitting submit, and they're done. That's not really a review. Most consumers look at more than one review site before making a decision, and 84% of people trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. Now, personally, that's true for me when it comes to my car. I like to know what the crowd thinks. If it comes to maybe a dentist, like they're messing with my teeth, then I'm probably going to go for the personal recommendation. But for auto body, for sure, I want to know what the crowd thinks. And then this is the part about 73% of consumers think that a review older than 3 months isn't relevant. All right, top reasons why people don't review is because they move on with their lives, whether they forgot or didn't have time. It's just life gets in the way. So the rest of this is going to be about how to jump that hurdle and turn that garden hose on. And that, of course, all starts with Google. Now, everybody knows that Google is the king of search, but apparently not enough of you realize that Google is also now the king of reviews. Their share of reviews is growing exponentially compared to everybody else's. They're even overtaking Yelp in the hospitality sector, where they're growing rapidly, and Yelp is on the decline. And since they decided to take pole position on their own website and put their reviews above everybody else's, their share of reviews has grown exponentially. Where from 2015, this is them in the orange, they grew by 200% over 1 year, and then again by 30% over the next year by 2017. And look at Yelp, halved, and halved again by 2017. Google now owns, and this says 60%, I believe this is last year's data, Google is approaching 65% of all reviews made online, more than Yelp, more than TripAdvisor, more than Facebook, actually more than all of them combined, since they're more than half. So Google is where your focus needs to be. And Yelp, right here with their 11%, even that number is overstated. They were considered the review place for a very long time, not any longer. Their relevance is going down, down, down. And this 11%, as I said, is overstated. Number one, because they're hyper focused on, still to this day, it's how they started, but on the hospitality sector, hotels and restaurants and coffee shops. But on top of that, the average Yelp user is nothing like the average consumer. First of all, they're far more negative, as you can see by the average review scores on Yelp are 3.65, where everywhere else it's 4.25 to 4.4, Google being a 4.3. In addition to being negative Nellies, look at the types of people and the amounts of reviews that they leave. You've got this person who's left 13, but this one has left 253 reviews. And this is just for some Vietnamese restaurant in Tacoma, Washington. This person's left 26. This person 74. This person 18. This person, oh, finally a normal person right here, Julie. And then we've got 105 reviews. Oh, how about 402 reviews left? And 1,800 reviews. Let me ask you a question. How many reviews have you left in the last year? Now, how about the last 5 years? Now, I can tell you, I think I've left 2 reviews over maybe the last 10. And I think I'm the normal consumer. These Yelp people are definitely not. So they may make up 11% of all reviews left online, but it's certainly not 11% of the reviewers. These people are blowing that bell curve, and that causes Yelp's relevance to be grossly overstated. Now, I'm not saying that you don't worry about Yelp. I like to advise my clients to maintain a good Yelp score, and if it's not good, then we give it some attention. As soon as it's above a 4, maybe a 4.5, that's when I suggest leave it alone. We don't need to drive reviews to Yelp. They have far more impact at other locations like Google and some other third-party sites that I'll be talking about in a little bit. But just to finish up with Yelp and me jumping up and down on their reputation, I also want to give you a couple of pointers. Yelp has a nasty habit of hiding reviews. And so you may be aware of that. But here's an auto body shop. And this is really typical. Auto body and auto service in general is not heavily reviewed on Yelp at all. So an auto body shop here in Pelham, Alabama with 3 reviews. I don't like that they put their competitors' ads ahead of their own reviews on their own page. It's a horrible business practice by Yelp. And then you've got their 3 reviews showing here. 2 of them are 5-star. 1 of them is a 2-star. Lucky for him, it wasn't 1-star because that probably would have knocked him down to a 3.5. But then they have 13 hidden reviews. Now, here's some pointers. And by the way, 12 of these reviews I've already looked are 5-star. When a Yelp review comes in, if you reply to it right away, and maybe if you can get somebody else to click the useful button or the funny button or whatever, if you get a little interaction on the new review, it will lessen the chance that it's going to be hidden. And even if it is hidden, and it's recently hidden, let's say you missed it because you weren't notified. By the way, my system notifies you anytime a new review comes in on Yelp or Google. Anytime a review is hidden, as long as it's recent and you're logged in as your business, as your business account, and you reply to it, the next time the algorithm goes through and checks everything out, it might unhide that review. No promises, but that's 2 possible methods of lowering the number of hidden reviews. The other way is, here's Custom Paint and Collision Center's website. They have their Yelp badge right here. If people use the badge, which you can download from your business account, on Yelp, if a person uses the badge to leave the review, I understand that it increases the chance that the review will be regarded as authentic and remain visible, versus going to Yelp, searching out the business and finding them and then leaving the review. Okay, unfortunately, I got to keep talking about types of review sites that I don't like, which include some that we've already been talking about a little bit. But the first reason I don't like third-party review sites, particularly the verticals, is that they steal your thunder. You do an auto body search in any town across the USA, and a lot of the first things you're going to get is a whole lot of third-party review sites. Here's Yelp, Expertise.com, 3 best rated, Angie's List. And it's like that in every city. How'd they do that? Well, because you signed up and started gathering reviews there, and they stole all of your thunder. They stole your relevance, your prominence, your authority across multiple websites. That's where you have your listings. And they stole yours and they stole everybody else that's on the platform, and they balled it up into one, and that makes them the most relevant thing that pops up in a Google search when they search for any particular niche that they happen to have listed. In the case of our verticals, it's going to be generally just auto body. But that's why they come up first, and auto body shops are a distant second. Do you remember when we used to compete for these blue links down here as business owners? The second thing I don't like is that they tend to mislead their consumers. This is from SureCritic. They say we're the pioneer of verified reviews. Well, I'd like to know who anointed them the verifier. Generate hundreds of verified reviews on Google and more. I have no idea what and more means, but doesn't generate reviews on Google kind of suggest that they're going to get you Google reviews? Well, they don't. They get you SureCritic reviews. They get you CarWise reviews. They get you AutoBodyReview.com reviews. They don't get you Google reviews. So I know they're kind of careful with how they did this. They said on Google. I'll show you what that means in a second, but it doesn't help you. Public and private feedback. And then lastly, your public image consistent across the web. Yeah, it's precisely the opposite of that. First of all, nobody actually gets in an accident and searches CarWise for who to do business with. They don't go to SureCritic to figure out who they want to call to fix their car. They go to Google. That's what people do. And even if they did go to those websites, this is what they're going to be facing here. I mean, it's page after page of businesses that all look alike. It's a big log jam of 4.9 rated businesses, a couple fives, and maybe page 2 you're into the 4.8s. But the point is that everybody looks alike, so much alike. I mean, this should give you pause. Look at all Caliber's just everywhere. Gerber's the same in certain cities. This should worry you a little bit because they're after your customers. But again, the idea of a search site, being able to look at a directory, is to be able to discern what type of business you want to do business with. And here, everybody looks exactly alike, so much that they even have the same logo. Check it out. So we'll check this one out just because they're different. Hendrick Collision, they have a 4.8 rating on 1,930 reviews. So nobody is going to actually look at this unless they actually search for the business. And that is, I guess my point is that nobody's going to go to CarWise to try and figure out who to work with. So they're not likely to find you that way. Besides, you're lost in a sea of other companies that look just like you. But if somebody did search Hendrick Collision Center of Concord, and this is back to my point of your public image consistent across the web, they claim. How is this consistent? Here's their 4.8 rating on CarWise on 1,900 reviews. Google says they're a 3.1. Yelp says 2.5. Facebook, 3.4. And this is what they mean by on Google. Here and here. Google's kind enough to put them down below their own list, their own star rating. And this is if they search for you at all. The reality is they're not gonna do this if you're sporting a low rating on Google when they search for Auto Body Charlotte. Chances are they might give this company and this company a shot. They're not going to call Caliber because of the low rating. So if they're going to make a short list of businesses they might consider, they might actually take a look at these guys. Okay, I'm going to look at them and maybe Google search them and see what else they've got going on. Okay, Bodyworks Plus. Okay, and and this is the only way they're going to see your CarWise reviews is if they actually Google search your business name. And the reality is that they're not going to do that if you have a low rating. They're going to make their short list of companies that have good ratings. They might check these guys out. No way they're checking these guys out, or these, Caliber, all 3.8, 3.9. McClure, they'll probably check out. Luxury, I don't know. 4.4 isn't very good compared to 4.9. So I'm guessing they'd probably skip over these guys. That's what I mean by a mediocre rating. 4.5 is your cutoff. Anything above 4.5, you're looking good. Anything below that, not so good. So the overall point is that not that Luxury Auto Body's a bad outfit. It's just that 4.4 might not be enough to tip the balance for somebody to put them on the short list. And that makes whatever they have on CarWise or anywhere else completely irrelevant because it's never going to be seen. If somebody can't get past your Google rating, then it's irrelevant what you have somewhere else. So this is why Google is your priority. I know it's cliche, but you only have one chance to make a good first impression. And this is where it's going to occur, right here, either here or on the Map 3-pack. Really, the only benefit you get from a third-party review site like this is whatever relevance they have. And so I'm not saying you shouldn't have diversity in review sites. On the contrary, you should have diversity, multiple review sites. But let's take a look at how much benefit you're getting, because really, if they're not going to use these sites to select you, then you should get the benefit at least of relevance, which will increase your ranking on Google. And so how relevant is Shirt Critic? Not very. I mean, we're talking ranked 38,335th in the nation, a whopping 200,000 visits, unique visits in 6 months. That's not very busy at all. Autobodyreview.com is 146,000, way down the list, 6 digits, and not even enough data to rate. And then you have CarWise, which it fares better. It's a little higher up the ranking at 16,557th, 401st in the automotive industry, not very good at all, and 489,000 unique visitors over 6 months. So divide that up by the month, divide that up by the day, divide it up by all the cities in the country, and it's nothing. Nobody's really using it. The only traffic they're getting is through the reviews that you send out to your customers, and that's really the only traffic. Nobody surfs them to look for an auto body shop. Now let's compare that for a second to Better Business Bureau. Better Business Bureau, only 3 digits in their ranking, 786th in the US, and 14.2 million visits in the last 6 months. That's not bad. Yellow Pages, they are ranked 476th with 21 million visitors in the last 6 months. Yellow Pages has a lot of respect. They still get quite a bit of use. Not much compared to Google, but nobody's compared to Google. I mean, nobody is measuring up to Google. But am I really saying that this 21 million measured up against CarWise's less than 500,000, does it make that much of a difference? Am I really saying that one review on yellowpages.com is worth 40 or even 50? It'd be about 40 reviews on CarWise. Yes, I am. That's what it means. So when they say that they're going to get you on Google, you need to keep in mind that anybody that you are collecting reviews with is going to appear down here. So if you weren't paying attention to CarWise and Auto Body Review, and instead you were gathering reviews on Better Business Bureau, it would appear here. If you're gathering reviews on Yellow Pages, it would appear here. So they don't need to advertise that they're going to get your reviews on Google. So where you focus matters. And if you're going to divert your reviews somewhere to other sites other than Google, then let's make them count. And Yellow Pages and Better Business Bureau are 2 of my favorites. Angie's List would be good. There's a lot of places you can put them other than these third-party verticals. So yes, I am telling you, for your own good, you should turn CarWise off. Get into the CCC1 dashboard and turn it off. Stop sending out those requests for reviews. Cancel your subscriptions to any of these others and focus your attention on Google. I see this pattern play out again and again and again. The more reviews collected on these third-party vertical sites, the lower the review score. This is Charlotte, and here they are at the bottom. Raleigh, Durham, right below, same thing. Again and again, city after city. Remember, I mean, how I found this out was looking at Gerber and their 500 plus shops, 3.9 national average, state by state, consistent as all get out. Again and again, that's what you see. Caliber, 3.9 national average. Abra, before Caliber absorbed them, was 3.9. You have Service King as a 3.8 national average. What do they all have in common other than being big, huge companies? They all have CCC1 software installed, and they all heavily rely on CarWise and other third-party vertical review sites. There was only one exception in Gerber, and that was the state of Wisconsin. And I was curious, very curious, because they almost had a 4.4 average. And so I dug a little deeper, and I found out that these 16 Wisconsin locations, Gerber wasn't even in Wisconsin prior to this. But when they purchased all of these at once from an outfit called Gates Collision. Gates Collision prior to December of 2018, prior to the purchase, was a 4.5 average across all stores on Google. Since that time, in the last 9 months, that's right, 3.9. Gerber's driving them into the dirt. You can set a watch by this. And so it's the same personnel. In 90+% of the cases, it's the same manager. It's the same people, same location. The only thing that changed was the name. So it's not just because they're a big company. It's not because they think they're McDonald's and they don't have to care. They're going to make $1 gazillion even if they have a 3-star rating. It's honestly because they don't know what they're doing. I'm sure of it. And because they appreciate the set it and forget it mentality that CarWise offers. But don't fall prey to that. You can't afford to. This is something that your business is going to absolutely have to rely on. You don't have the deep pockets of Gerber. You are entirely reliant on your online reputation. Google is where it's at. That's where your focus needs to be. So everything you might want to do is going to be built on your reputation, and that starts with your review scores. Now, keep in mind, if you shut everything off, the average consumer is very unlikely to leave a review. You have the people that had a good experience, thankfully, outweigh those that had a bad experience by far. But the people who had a bad experience are more likely to leave a review than people who had a good experience. So that's why you're not seeing too many 5-star outfits. It's just a numbers game. 1 to 2% of people, of your happy customers, are going to write your review. That's the numbers. 35% of people say they're likely to leave a review after a positive experience with the business. That's inaccurate. I mean, they should have used the word willing. Are they willing to write a review? Yes, they're willing, but does that mean they're going to? No. Why? Because they get on with their lives. They forget. It's not that they don't care. It's not that they didn't appreciate what you did. It's just life happens, and then they forgot about it. Then it's out of sight, out of mind. So that's why you don't get that many reviews without intervention. It'll be a slow trickle. You'll probably have a good review score, but a low review count. And Yelp's Yelp, don't worry about Yelp. But what happens with a lot of these companies that want more reviews, and it's what a lot of you have done, is that you'll turn the garden hose on, to whether it's SureCritic or any of these others, turn the garden hose on and start. It's a system that sends out reminders. It pings these customers, please leave us a review. And then the review goes to SureCritic, your rating soars, and the review count soars. But you're going to start noticing that your Google rating is going to start going down. And the reason why is because your requests for reviews on these other sites don't really change the behavior of those who had a negative experience. They're still in the system, and they're still putting their negative reviews where they would have without your intervention. And so you're changing the ratio that used to exist, where it was going to be about 19 out of 20 people leaving a positive review and that one person leaving a negative. Well, now you've dropped it down. Maybe it's only 12 positive for every one negative. So you're the one changing the game by doing this. And it's even worse if you go and collect even more. You're going to see that rating go down even further. You're sucking all of the goodwill out of the system. You need to treat the willingness to write a review like capital and or currency, and you need to spend it wisely. Spending it out here on these guys is like taking your entire life savings and investing it in penny stocks, where these guys over here, well, Google mainly, is the S&P 500, where your investment belongs. But what usually happens is you'll see a company get desperate. Things are not going so well, so they'll spread it out. They'll even start up another one, maybe even a third one, and down, down, down your rating goes, and a lackluster review count. So that's what happens. And you would be much better off at the slow trickle. But you're going to be even better off if you can just divert the garden hose to Google, right? So if you had all of that goodwill that's going to these offsites and you directed it at Google, then you're going to soar on Google. Well, do you know how to do that? That's the question. I mean, these other outfits made it easy. They were automating it. How do you do this for yourself? Well, I guess if you have a good techno wizard in your shop that can set it up for you, you got emailer systems that you can integrate with your CRM. You can put badges all over your website so that if they go to the website, they can leave a review. But if you can get an emailer system set up to where you're going to take all of the customers that you close business, and you can even cherry pick. If you know they had a bad experience, don't send them a request for a review. But at least you're going to have the goodwill heading back to where it's going to do you the most good. And once you get to a certain level, and if you do it yourself, it's going to take a while. But if you can get it up to at least 4.7 and at least 100 reviews, then you can start looking at diverting some of those good reviews to different places. And so you just have to change the request in your emails that you're sending out and ask them to go leave a review on Yellow Pages, Better Business Bureau, Angie's List, wherever it may be that you choose. Just so long as the choice is going to be more relevant than any of these ridiculous jokers that you've been using. You have plenty of other sites that you can divert reviews to that would all be beneficial. Stick with the ones that are the major ones. Angie's List is good, Better Business Bureau, even City Search is still in the game. Yellow Pages, Yellow Book, Super Pages, ignore SureCritic, and maybe some social media. Foursquare is another one. There's a lot of places, and of course my favorites are Yellow Pages and Better Business Bureau, just because they have massive authority in the business world. People will automatically believe things that are there. So you can handle all of this yourself, or if it's a situation where you're a businessman and you're busy taking care of other aspects of your enterprise, well, I suppose you could hire somebody in-house, a new guy to come in for maybe $20 an hour. Will get the job done and you can handle it. Maybe you get away with $15 an hour. That'd be about 30 grand a year. I'll take the 30 grand. Or you can just bring me on and with the service I have to offer, and I'll handle all of this for you. I'll handle the emailing and the contacting of the customers, the request for the review. I'll handle the direction of the garden hose for your maximum benefit. And from your perspective, it is going to still be automated. Set it and forget it. Only you're going to have me taking care of things behind the scenes. The difference to you may be a couple of mouse clicks every couple of days. That's about it. Once my system's put in place, we have the ability to send your customers text messages requesting the review. And we also have the emailer system, which is a drip system that will make the request. If they don't click through and reply to that request and leave a review, then it's going to send them another one after a couple of days. If they don't reply to that one, then it'll send a third and final one requesting a review. And it gets very good responses, as does the text system. So the percentages are going to they're going to be exponentially higher than what you would get on your own, or just leaving it alone or asking for reviews. This system is very successful. You've seen good numbers come from the likes of CarWise and these other third-party verticals. The numbers should be similar. They operate on a similar principle as well, where the customer is going to get an email. They're going to get a simple question. Then they can answer that they had a good experience or they had a bad experience. This will be customized with your logo. This can say anything we want it to say. If they click that they had a good experience, it's going to take them to a fully customizable. Again, I go with 3. I make Google the primary, the big one up front, and then I usually just put 2 beneath. And in my case, my favorites, again, Better Business Bureau and Yellow Pages. And once we're doing fine on a couple of these sites, we can switch it up. I should say I'll switch it up for you so that we can broaden your diversity on where you are being reviewed. The more sites, the better, for sure. So with that situation, you would go from something like this, where you have a nice rating, but everything's kind of just trickling in, to a situation that looks more like this, where things are going to be distributed in a very beneficial fashion for you. And it doesn't change the bad experience much at all. Now, it does have negative review capture. That's where the consumer that didn't have a good experience, we hit them up with the form. It allows them to give feedback. They're not going to be tricked into believing that they're posting a review like some of these other third-party verticals do. It's going to let them know that this is going to go to you, and you're going to hopefully get back to them, try to work out the situation, and avoid their negative review. But it is going to let them know that it is not a review, and they're going to be provided with a link so that they can leave a negative review so long as that's what they choose. And again, when you get your review count up, you have nothing to fear from the negative review, especially if you respond in a positive fashion to it. It can help you, not hurt you. So the other benefits of my program is that it monitors all of these sites for new reviews. When they pop up, I can set it up so that you are notified, or whoever you designate will be notified. That way you can get online really quick, check to make sure that it's a positive review. Maybe you can let it be. If it's a negative review, you're going to want to get right on top of it and reply to it as soon as possible. In addition, we've got the review capture page, which is mobile ready. This is an instruction thing that is included, but I just turn that off. Most people know how to leave a review. I don't think we lose that many by not having instructions for how to leave a review. Again, we've got the negative experience capture form, the review alerts. And in addition to all of that, there's 2 widgets that I like to put in place. It's up to you. Actually, 3 widgets. One of them is a widget that gets planted onto your website so that it's up to you how you want it to look. It can be a scrolling marquee that looks something like this, or there's another one that looks like this. And it's going to be an entirely your decision on which way you want to go, or if you want it at all. There's also a widget for Facebook that will automatically post to your business's Facebook page anytime a new 5-star review comes in, and that's automatic. So that's good for social media. And there's also, I passed it up on an earlier slide here, but an email signature widget, which will present, this is something we can put at the bottom of all emails that you send, just this little closer right here with the same thumbs up, thumbs down, which leads them to the ability to leave a review. And of course, I do have some references and testimonials I can show you. If you need to see more, let me know. And just to let you know what this service cost is, generally speaking, I charge a $100 setup fee for regardless of if there's a contract or not. The monthly no contract going month to month is $250 a month. A 6-month contract can be done for $1,200, which averages out to $200, so quite a bit of savings. And a 12-month contract, you'll save even more for $1,800, so that comes out to the equivalent of $150 a month. However, right now, since you're watching this, I am offering this 1-month trial so you can give this thing a spin to see if you want to do it. I'll waive the setup fee, and I'll let you see how this works for 1 month. And what I can promise you is that you're going to be very happy at the end of the month, but you're also going to be very happy at the end of the first week, because that's usually where the biggest splash occurs. And I'll let you know more about that after you sign up. But in any event, you are sitting on the page with the ability to click through and sign up for this 1-month trial. This is as low risk as I can make it. $125 isn't going to make or break you. I'll give you a hint. $125 isn't going to make or break me either. Definitely in this to win it. I'm going to try and win you over for the long term. Get your ship turned around. Get you that 4.7 rating on over 100 reviews. And again, that's not a destination. That's just the beginning. And then we start spreading it out, and your ranking's going to go up as well. So sign up. This is about as big a no-brainer as you could wish for. And we're going to get those numbers turned around for you as soon as we can. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the other side.